What up, homies? Today's show, we're talking about Antarctica, what's really going on over there, and how come nobody else around the world is talking about Antarctica. We're going to hear about giant Antarctic spiders. Did you know right now here on Earth, spiders are getting bigger naturally? All spiders are naturally getting even bigger than they were last time around. You can Google it. Did you know there are stories of huge spiders in Antarctica? Monster-sized spiders in Antarctica. The Antarctic Treaty, 1959. And it goes, the Antarctic Treaty and related agreements, collectively known as the Antarctic Treaty System, regulate international relations. With respect to Antarctica, Earth's only continent without a native human population. Depository is the federal government of the United States, effective June 23rd, 1961. The signatories, 12 countries. The location, Washington, D.C. The languages the Antarctic Treaty is written in: English, French, Russian, and Spanish. The Antarctic Treaty Preamble. The 12 countries represented by governments of Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, the French Republic, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, we're having a hard time here clicking on the link here from the UK. The UK link is not working. They don't want, oh, here it comes. Let's see. I'll do the countries again. Governments of Argentina, 1. Australia, 2. Belgium, 3. Chile, 4. French Republic, 5. Japan is 6. New Zealand, 7. Norway, 8. The Union South Africa, 9. Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, 10. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, 11 and 12. Oh, sorry, and the United States was the 12th. Signed the Antarctic Treaty on December 1st, 1959. Recognizing that it is in the interest of all mankind that Antarctica shall continue forever to be used exclusively for peaceful purposes, and shall not become the scene or object of international discord. Acknowledging the substantial contributions to the scientific knowledge resulting from international cooperation in scientific investigation in Antarctica, convinced that the establishment of a firm foundation for the continuation and development of such cooperation on the basis of freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica as applied during the International Geophysical Years Accords with the interests of science and progress of all mankind. convinced also that a treaty ensuring the use of Antarctica for peaceful purposes. So I think I think the treaty's been broken then. Peaceful purposes only, and the continuance of international harmony in Antarctica will further the purposes and principles embodied in the Charter of the United Nations. Have agreed as follows. Article 1. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. So right there we have to shut down Antarctica. There shall be prohibited inter alia any measure of military nature, such as the establishment of military bases and fortifications, the carrying out of military maneuvers, as well as testing of any type of weapon. So we need to shut down Antarctica. The treaty has been broken. The present treaty shall not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment for scientific research. So we need to shut down Antarctica research bases, as the U.S. is using them right now for military purposes. It's in many articles around the world. So these scientists find out about it and then they're ixnayed. Or for any other peaceful purpose. Article 2. So we need help right now. You know, the people who run these areas have actually, there's demons in the highest states of, you know, controlled governing bodies, and we must hold them accountable. Freedom of scientific, we must have investigations to find out to ensure the judicial process is working. We need to hold a court right away in Antarctica in cooperation toward the end, as applied during the International Geophysical Year, shall continue subject to the provisions of the present treaty. Article 3. International scientific cooperation. In order to promote international cooperation in science, in scientific investigation in Antarctica, as provided for Article 2 of the present treaty, the contracting parties agree that to the greatest extent feasible and practicable, information regarding plans for scientific programs in Antarctica shall be exchanged to permit maximum economy of and efficiency of operations. So what it means is they should be sharing in their work so that they can efficiently maximize the amount of research that is done there. So it is dangerous, but at the same time it isn't, and I'll tell you why. If it can be proven that this new type of ice melts at this temperature, and it's proven on video, and all, like they've proven it 3-7 ways, written it down, and it's been concurred by other bodies, scientific bodies, then they need to use that as the, you know, the predetermined, like we need to set it as a law. Yeah, there are laws in science. We need to have these laws apply, or have these scientists, these researchers with these high accreditation, they need to be allowed to create scientific laws that will shape the new century of science exploration, right? So most of you won't understand what I said, but what I mean is we need to share scientific research so we can better each other faster, quicker, and entirely, okay? Scientific personnel shall be exchanged in Antarctica between expeditions and stations. So all the different stations could be doing research on another area, so they could totally help each other further their own set of research legs at their base, where it may be colder than the southern base that Argentina is running, right? So the the science experiments can differ by, 10, 50 degrees, whatever it is. They can get more knowledge out of, running the same controlled studies In implementing this article, every encouragement shall be given to the excuse me. In implementing this article, every encouragement shall be given to the establishment of cooperative working relations with those specialized agencies of the United Nations and other international organizations having a scientific or technical interest in Antarctica. Wow, man, that makes me want to go to Antarctica. But Canada doesn't have a base there. Only the US has a base. Like, why didn't Canada get a base in Antarctica for research purposes? Non-lethal research, but Canada can't have a base up there. It doesn't make sense. The 12 countries, those are very powerful countries. If you look at which countries have access to this area, Japan and USA, Norway, South Africa, Russia, England, it doesn't make sense how these are some Chile, Belgium, Australia, like Northern Ireland has a base in Antarctica. None of it makes sense, man. Those areas, those all must be specific resets. Each one of those places must have won a war. We know that England won. We know that South Africa was in charge of the world at one time. We know that the Danish and the Norwegians and those people, they're some of the richest in the world, and they were in control of the world. The Danes, the Danish royals, are some of the most powerful people on the planet, not overlooking the United Kingdom and Great Britain's royals, or the African royals as well. There are some African royals that have still maintained power, but they don't talk about it. Brazil has very powerful people, but it's weird that Argentina has always been a powerhouse. I can't exactly remember what it was. I was reading about 6 months ago, but Argentina refuses to fall into what most other countries have. So like Brazil has kind of been, if you look around at Brazil, it's been horribly treated, right? And the governing bodies there are completely bad. So do some research on Brazil and see what you can find out. A monster population. So they have a lot of slaves over there, put it that way. And it's bad. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and the cooperation toward that end, as applied during the International Geophysical Year, shall continue, subject to provisions of the present treaty. Freedom of scientific investigation, Article 2. So here we have scientific observations and results from Antarctica shall be shared, exchanged, and made freely available. None of that has happened. None of it. Scientific personnel shall be exchanged in Antarctica between expeditions and stations. Scientific personnel shall be exchanged in Antarctica between expeditions and stations. So that the Americans can't simply go on expeditions all alone with only Americans to hide all the data for themselves. But what happens if only one Swedish scientist goes with them and the Swedish scientist dies? Then it's still all only American knowledge, right? So then what happens is they come back and they're like, oh yeah, sure, of course we'll share everything with you. Except for the stuff on the hairy spiders and the free energy we found. Huh? What? In implementing this article, every encouragement shall be given to the establishment of cooperating working relations with those specialized agencies of the United Nations and other international organizations having a scientific or technical interest in Antarctica. Renunciation by any contracting party of previously asserted rights of or claims to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica. A renunciation or diminution by any contracting party of any basis of claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica, which it may have, whether as a result of its activities or those of its nationals in Antarctica or otherwise. Prejudicing the position of any contracting party as regards its recognition or non-recognition of any other state or states' rights of or claim or basis of claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica. No acts or activities taking place while the present treaty is in force shall constitute a basis for asserting, supporting, or denying a claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica, or create any rights of sovereignty in Antarctica. No new claim or enlargement of any existing claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica shall be asserted while the present treaty is in force. So, when does the treaty end? Because that's when there's going to be another major war. So let's quickly have to Google that, because they want the access to that land. And if you know anything about humans, they're evil. The end date. It was for 50 years. Oh my god, it ended in 2009. In 1991. Wait, the protocol to the 1959 treaty was signed in 1991. The agreement banned mineral and oil exploration for 50 years. So, what does it mean, a protocol to the treaty? Does the Antarctic Treaty expire in 2048? How many countries have signed the Antarctic Treaty? The total number of parties to the treaty is now 56. With territorial claims sometimes overlapping, other countries do not recognize any claims. The treaty provided that any party could call for a review conference. Well, that's what we need. After the expiration of 30 years, no party has done so. In 1991, on the 30th, I have to click on this to read it. The following text was adopted at the Antarctic Treaty Consultative Meeting in Peru, May and June 1999, as an introduction to the Antarctic Treaty, particularly the intending visitors to the Antarctic. Introducing, there's so many places. You can go to Antarctica if you have the right gear, but you can only go to a very, very small area of it. Now, it's weird that it says, it's very contradicting, because if you go there for any scientific or research purposes, then who's to say that if you need accreditation or some sort of piece of paper that can be bought in the US for any amount of money apparently, then that's wrong, because like I just said, you can literally buy it. I want to go to Antarctica to research and to discover and explore. So research and exploration cannot be quelled. You can't stop me from exploring and researching, especially not like I don't want to go in your basement. I want to go like in the forest, right? I want to go into the Arctic. You don't live there. No human beings are allowed to own property there. So I can explore that area freely with my conscience not feeling bad. Like, oh, this is somebody's home. Like, that's a loser move to go through somebody's house, man. But yet, there's people in Winnipeg. You do that, don't you? You go through somebody's house when they're not there. Old people do it. Young people, people of all ethnicities are doing it right now in Winnipeg. Scuzzy, slimy, greasy, dirty people. Invite other people to your house while you're not home. Losers. Absolute biggest losers on the planet do that. Always remember, this show provides you an amount of knowledge you're not capable of acquiring on your own. So tune in to win valuable wisdom, which you can use in your future to protect you, to keep you sane, and to ensure you don't become a slave to the most evil, disgusting people that exist. Anybody who uses somebody else, you know? Anybody who steals from somebody else, right? Such a loser. Oh, trust me, Google knows they don't want anybody coming to this stream. Google and YouTube are, they're picking and choosing who can listen to my streams, and they're not throwing me out into the live zone on YouTube, so we have to go to the government, and I'm getting a digital lawyer, and I'm gonna sue YouTube and Google for they've adjusted the parameters of YouTube so that certain channels aren't seen unless you're a racist channel that throws hate everywhere. You won't get seen on YouTube, right? They don't want people. Google is an insider thing, right? Like there's a lot of people at Google that will watch YouTube videos and we're gonna prove it, right? We are indeed gonna prove it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure and remember that everybody in this channel is important. It's the ones that cover up the truth. It's the ones that lie to you about what is really happening. You need to look around and watch and see the people that profit off of lies. Those people that claim and make one video of how they appear to be innocent are anything but. They work for the devil, everybody. You gotta choose wisely out there. Most of you are blinded by money and good looks. Don't